My name is Alain Bertaud. I'm an urban planner, or rather an urbanist, and I work for the Marin Institute at New York University. Cities in developing country or less industrialized country are very different depending if you are talking about Asia, Latin America, or Africa. And I think that in the case of Asia and Africa, we are going to see a massive urbanization which has no precedent. Unfortunately, most of the cities in this region have regulation and also a pattern of urban investment which are inherited from other cities. And I think they are not very well prepared for this vague of urbanization. Most of their regulation and their investment are in fact geared at preventing change rather than accelerating it. I think that facing, cities which are ready to face rapid urbanization and are not trying to slow it down, I think those cities will be the most successful. We have some examples. For instance, the city of Hyderabad in India had removed a large number of regulations inherited again from other countries, which prevented the use of land, the efficient use of land. We have cities also like Ahmedabad, still in India, who have also created rather innovative regulation to develop land very fast. We can take also the example of China in a certain way. China has been able to develop infrastructure very fast, urban infrastructure. However, not everything is perfect. There is no silver bullet, by the way. There are about 1,000 things that cities need to do to be able to cope with urbanization. If you want to include in the urbanization process the lowest income households in cities, and most of those migrants, by the way, which are going to be added to city will be low income. If you want to include them, you have to include an enormous flexibility in, again, land use, in particular not putting minimum standards of consumption for land and housing in particular. But basically, I think that every person responsible for urban development should focus really on two aspects: mobility and affordability. Mobility to let low-income people move not to some industrial area or something like that, but be able to look for jobs all around a large metropolitan area. And then affordability, make sure that the land supply and the floor space supply, housing supply is such that everybody has access to it, not create restriction on the floor supply and land supply. I think that clearly the problem of pollution and global warming are two main issues, but those are constraints. They cannot be objective. The objective is not to reduce pollution. Reducing pollution is a constraint on development. Too often, I think that recently, reducing pollution has become an objective in per se, and therefore, the easiest way to reduce pollution is to prevent development. And this has been sometime, not explicitly expressed that way, but I think, so the challenge is really to take pollution and global warming extremely seriously, but to try to find solutions which still provide mobility and affordability to low-income people. To address the challenge of urban expansion, in particular in terms of financing infrastructure, I think we have to look at the different level of governance, from the state to the municipality, to the districts, to then private communities which organize themselves. And I'm thinking of slums, for instance, which constitute usually rather homogeneous community and should have definitely some responsibility in organizing themselves. And I think that it's important that the different level of government recognize this different level of responsibility. If the central government try to do everything, they are going to mess up because they are not going to answer the local needs.